Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can more effectively serve the body of Christ. And today we have with us Mr. Amos Dillard. He is one of the pastors out at Grace City Church in Irvine, California. He's originally from North Carolina, wonderful state out there. So Amos, thank you for joining us here and spending this time with us on the Better Together podcast.
Oh, so glad to do it. Thanks for having me.
Amos, were you by chance a Wolfpack fan when you lived in North Carolina?
No, sir. I'm a Tar Heel all the way.
Well, this interview may end short. No, we're okay with some Tar Heels. There's probably a Tar Heel listener or two, so we'll take it. But Amos, today we want to talk to you about what you guys are doing at Grace City. You've got something called the GC Buddies. It sounds like a wonderful way to reach out and to impact your community. Tell our listeners what GC Buddies are, and then we'll get into how you started this ministry.
Yes, sir. So GC Buddies is actually the part of our kids ministry program where we support and equip the homes of special needs families. And so what we are able to do is now on a Sunday, we are able to provide an environment for kids with special needs to be able to have a buddy and aid to enable them to integrate into the classroom of our kids' teachings and to be able to learn and to be a part of what's going on in our Sunday kids ministry.
That sounds wonderful. So like probably a lot of Sunday school teachers are listening and you've got 8 kids or 15 kids or whatever, and you're trying to teach. And often, we have a special needs child and a teacher feels like, oh no, I'm struggling enough with my lesson. And now I've got maybe a behavioral issue or someone I need to pay more attention to. You've really removed all of that from the equation, haven't you, with this particular ministry?
Well, it definitely helps with it. There always want to be distractions and things. That's just part of kids ministry. But what this provides for us is, the way we like to say it is we wanted to create a table for all families to come and sit at. And so this provides that opportunity for kids that have special needs, wherever they are on the spectrum, whatever need that they may have. This provides them an opportunity to come into that classroom to have a particular aid to help them with transitions, with the teaching or learning aspect, engage in worship, be social, make friends, and then just the simple process of things like managing, when we go outside or play games or do crafts, and just there to help them the entire time and whatever their need may be, and helping them to be a part of that classroom and to learn and to hear the truth and to worship with their friends.
That's great. And I know that's wonderful for the children. They're able to participate, kind of relax. It's a safe place. Working with some special needs parents, I suspect it is a great relief to them too, knowing that their kids are going somewhere, that people want them, people are kind of equipped to help them. It's got to really help as you think about it's a way of being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir. And we have there's an example in our church of a family who very early on when we launched Grace City, we didn't have anything like this provided. And they had a child that had some special needs. And I honestly, we did not minister to that family well. And somebody had approached us because we were doing our special needs, egg hunt and some other things like that for families. And so they challenged us. They said, do you have a special needs ministry? And we were like, no. And they said, well, do you have any families with special needs? And we said, yes. And they said, well, you have a ministry, you're just not doing it well. And we were like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so we look back on that, and that was a family that we did not minister to well. And so because of that, they stopped coming to our church for a while. And when we started GC Buddies, we reached back out to them and we basically restored that trust and said, we care for you. We want to create an environment for all families to be a part of, and we will do whatever we can to help your family so that you can come to church, because 90% of families that have special needs are unchurched. So they're their own unreached people group. And so we said, that's too many families. And this particular one, we said, we love you. We want to make it right. And we'll do everything that we can. And so they actually came back, and they're one of the 5 families that we currently serve and minister with in our GC Buddies.
Oh, that's great. So instead of being like, oh no, I hope that everyone behaves in the class or whatever,
Right.
You're just embracing it. So let's go and let's minister. And many of these parents are like, I don't feel comfortable taking my kid to church. It's a way of saying, please do. And then you've equipped your folks to handle it. So people listening are thinking, well, how could I do this better? They really can do it by having some of these buddies, as you call them GC buddies.
Right.
Tell us a bit about these GC buddies that you're utilizing to minister to these children.
So I believe that every church can do something. And even if it's just starting with the families that you currently have, I'm sure there's some family within your church or connected in some type of relationship with your church that you could minister to. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate thing. It doesn't have to be a separate classroom. Really, it can be a one-on-one aid program. And there's a lot of programs to help in that. So we partnered with Miracle 139 Ministries. We had somebody that was in our church that was on that board, and they actually teach, ministries and even schools all around the world how to do this and how to do it well. We were at D6 conference, and we got connected with Nathaniel's Hope, and they help us with our buddy break, which is another thing for respite families. We do that now 2 or 3 times throughout the year with our church. And so there are many, many partnerships that do this well, that will teach you and train you. And what we found was when we announced this initiative in our church, this was in 2019, Stephen, our pastor, he stood in front of the church and he said, listen, if you Google search churches in Irvine with special needs ministry, we're number 1 on the list, which is unheard of if you know of with Google search. And we don't provide anything on a Sunday. That was just because of our egg hunt that we do for kids with special needs. And so that had grown, and that was exploding and expanding, and that put us on the map. So God opened that door. And so we stood in front of the church and we said, we're stepping into this. We're a young church, but God has opened this door. We're following him. So when we did that, then we had 5 or 6 people within our church come forward and say, hey, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a therapist and I work with kids with special needs on a regular basis, or I'm a teacher in the special ed community, or I assist, or I've served in, special needs ministry before at another church. And that's really how a lot of our people started coming forward. But then we had people that just said, I love that. I love the idea of helping kids, any kid, to be able to hear the gospel, hear the truth, to be able to worship and have fun in a classroom. And so some of our buddies are people that have training in that field, but a lot of our buddies are just people that are passionate about helping these families. And for instance, one of our best people on our team that serves on a regular basis with a child, she works at a dentist office, and she's loving, she's compassionate, she's gentle. She's served on our kids ministry team, so she understands the layout of the classroom and things like that. And she's phenomenal. She's wonderful. She has no special needs training. And what we've done is we've tried to equip her for the child that she is serving, she's helping. And instead of trying to, she's not serving multiple kids, she's serving that one. She knows that child. She loves that child. And she's able to minister directly to that one child on a regular basis. And so it builds that relationship with her and the family that she's serving. They've become close. Her and the child have a special relationship, and it's just a wonderful thing. So we just train and invest in for that. And we even open up to teenagers. Teenagers can help, and even some older kids. And if a child is very high functioning, but they have some special needs, maybe in a particular way that they maybe struggle with, like transition or integrating to a classroom, a large space with kids, some sensory issues maybe, then we can even give them a buddy of an older kid who, obviously is great to work with other kids. And so we would partner them up and just say, hey, this is your buddy for today. Help them when we go outside, help them when it's, time to line up, encourage them to sit with you, help them at craft time. And this has been something that not only ministers to the families of kids with special needs, but to all kids that are in the classroom, because they are becoming adapted to this idea of welcoming everybody and noticing the differences. We want them to notice the difference, but we say that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And we are here for everybody. So it's across the board. It's one of the best things we've ever done. We're so thankful for it. It's changed us tremendously as leaders. I believe it's forming us into more of an image of God.
Mhm.
And I think it's been great for every single kid in the classroom of all abilities. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I really believe every church can do something.
Yes, exactly. And so it's an obedience. It's a way you're using it kind of to build your church. If you're a special ed teacher, you hear about one of your students, you hear about how they're being ministered to at a church. I'm more likely to want to find out more about that. It's ministering in that way, but also Jesus talked about how we're to be about children, suffer the little children not, bring them to me. And you're also kind of got a little Titus 2 in there. You've got the lady that works in the dentist office, and in other situations, older people working with younger people.
Mm-hmm.
And if our listeners may not know, there is research that talks about how that's good for the older person that's working with the younger person. And then what you've got happening with the teenagers, even some who have special needs themselves, the data tells us that's good for that kid, as they're, and anytime you invest in someone else, it helps you, and it helps you spiritually and psychologically and in many ways. So you got
Absolutely.
a intervention that's working all, it goes full circle all the
And
way
we
around.
have some people on our team that are in the classroom, and some people that never have stepped into the classroom as a buddy with the kid, but they still help in creating, the files that we have for the
Mm-hmm.
children. They help us in creating the sensory bins that we keep in the classroom for the kids. They prepare the bags and things that are needed. And we tell them, like, you're just as important as the aide that's in the classroom, the buddy in the classroom. You're still supporting and helping these families. So
Absolutely.
it's great opportunity for a lot of people to serve and to be involved and to do what we're called to do.
There you go. And it kind of started with the egg hunt in a way. So
Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. It definitely did. We did that before we even launched the church, and it's just exploded. I mean, it was a major need in our community. A lot of the families said we've never been able to do anything like this before.
yeah,
And I mean, we had 600. We didn't do it this year because of COVID, but the year before we had 650 people at our egg hunt, and they were all representing families with special needs. And so it's just from there we realized, like, this is a huge need. I mean, like, families need somebody to love them and to come alongside of them.
So, and it's kind of like Jesus says, the harvest is truly plentiful. Like, these are folks that are looking for help. And
Yes.
so you provide something for them, even if they don't think they're initially interested in the gospel, they'll do it for their kids. It's an activity that's safe for them. So I want people to understand or listen to what Amos said. Anyone can do something. So anyone could be a buddy. If you think about that, you don't have to have special ed training. But then if you do have folks like that in your church, wow, what a wonderful thing it could be. So I tell you, this is great, Amos. And I bet you we're going to have some folks maybe reach out and figure out, tell me a little bit more about this. And hopefully we'll see more and more folks reaching out during this time. And so we're talking now, this month we've been focusing on the Jeremiah 29 initiative, which is reach your community. This is one of those good endeavors. And some of our folks have heard of 3 for 30, which is also reach, train, give, reach, figure out some folks that you're capable of reaching, train, get yourself prepared for it. And that's part of what these buddies have done. And then to give of your time, sometimes give of your money to help. This all fits in perfect with that. Thank you,
sir.
Amos. We appreciate
Absolutely.
you joining
Can I mention one more thing real quick?
Yes, of course.
This is in the lens of outreach.
Yes.
So what you'll find, and what we found, this is true, that families with special needs, when they get something good, they do not keep it for themselves. They share it with everybody in their network, and they have a network because it's what they've got to do. So they have strong relationships. They have a large network. And so when your church steps into this, and even if you start small, be okay with the small, minister to 1 or 2 families, but do it well. Be ready, because they're going to tell everybody, and that's going to be your biggest form of outreach. They're going to share it with all their friends. They're going to tell all their friends about your church and how you're loving them and how you're helping them. And they're going to be your greatest form of outreach, which is the best form, obviously, when it's person to person and word of mouth. So it'll take off. So be prepared for that.
And they'll appreciate your effort. You can, like you were saying, we're trying to do it with excellence, and you're building, and then some of these people often come along, I suspect, help you as well. So
Yes, sir.
that's great. That's great. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us in wonderful Southern California. We know you could be doing other things, my friend, but thank you, Amos, for stopping in to be with us today.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it so much.
And we thank you, listeners, for taking the time to listen to us. I encourage you to, if you haven't already done so, like Better Together, like the podcast, subscribe to it, whatever platform you use. If you can give us a review, we would appreciate that. But just do what you can to share the information. Whatever you do, every little bit counts. So thank you together. And remember, we're all better, more effective when we work together in the ministry. God be with you, and God bless you.